Miller Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Pix 11 presents New York Mets baseball. Today the Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Nissan. Save big at the Nissan Tech for All sales event. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Spectrum, TV the way you want it. More HD, more on demand. Get it now at Spectrum.com. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Kia, visit KiaDealers.com during the Kia America's Best Value Summer event. By TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. And by your tri-state area Land Rover retailers, Land Rover above and beyond. The Mets finished their stay in Milwaukee today. Warm weather has presented itself. I mean, it's hot. It's 90 degrees outside. And Met fans have entered enemy territory, enjoying their sausages and their beer and their brats. Adam, pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Milwaukee. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets close out their four-game series against the Brewers. Another rough outing for Jason Vargas yesterday. That's 4 times and 5 tries, and has prompted more discussion about what to do with your best pitchers. The Mets have gotten great work out of their first 2 starters, great work out of some guys who have gone multiple innings in the bullpen, not so much from the back end of the rotation.
Yeah, of course, you see the numbers there when it's not DeGrom or Syndergaard. More importantly, how many long men do you need in the bullpen? I think the problem for the Mets, and they're going to really have to discuss this, because if they don't change things up, you know, they might be an afterthought by the All-Star break. And how do you change it up? Well, I know that you owed the financial component to Jason Vargas, 2-year contract, $16 million. But Seth Lugo has been so outstanding out of the bullpen. So is Gesellman, so is Sewald. I think they're more suited for that bullpen. But Lugo at some point has to be part of the discussion on moving him in there and getting a greater start every 5th day.
And of course, those problems were exacerbated by the fact that the Mets are going to need an extra starter tomorrow with a doubleheader scheduled in Atlanta. Meanwhile, Zach Wheeler, part of that back end of the rotation, pitches today. He's been kind of one good start, one bad start.
Well, the Mets are trying to win the season series. The Brewers and the Mets are 3-3 so far. This will be the last time they meet. The good thing about Wheeler, only 1 earned run his last start, but he loves to pitch on the road. He's 15-8 on the road, much better than he pitches at Citi Field.
Like Jason Vargas, Jhoulys Chacin was signed to a 2-year contract. He's pitched great so far for the Brewers. He'll go today. The Fonz in bronze. Mets and Brewers coming up on Pix. Lottery. Play all 4 of the new Mayhem scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. Wake up with Betty, Dan, Byron, Marissa, and the rest of the Picks Morning News crew with breaking news, traffic, and sports, plus the latest weather to keep you in the know. Mornings from 4:30 to 9 on the Picks 11 Morning News, New York's very own. Themes of the game brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealer.
Well, usually we have themes to the game, but we did have a 17-6 drubbing yesterday, so no themes today. Home run happy, Michael Conforto. Back-to-back games, never has had a home run in 3 straight. Clutch hitting, 11 hits with runners in scoring position for the Brewers. And Zach Wheeler, much better on the road than he's ever been at home.
Mets trying to get a split of the series on a hot day in Milwaukee. Go after that ball. Stay with it. Nice job. Good hustle. First pitch coming right up. David hits one well to center field. Peterson back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here! David Wright homers for a 3rd straight game. That's like an old-time David Wright right center field home run.
Yes, it is. Off a hard thrower, too, which is promising that he got around.
That was 2 years ago today. That was the last game David Wright has played for the Mets in the last 2 years.
Wouldn't it be strange that if he never plays for them again, he will end his career with 3 home runs in 3 games?
Which no player's ever done. No player's ever hit home runs in their last 3 games in the major leagues. However, David is trying very hard to come back from the multiple surgeries and multiple injuries that have set him down now for 2 full years. Meanwhile, his team going on without him. Starting lineup brought to you by Verizon Fios. As Dribble Cabrera moves up to the leadoff spot today with Brandon Nimmo getting a day off. Mickey Callaway giving him the day off because he plans to play Nimmo in both games of the doubleheader tomorrow. Conforto moves up to the 2-hole. He's homered in the last 2 games. Tomas Nido gets a start behind the plate with Devin Mesoraco having caught the last 4.
Well, the numbers for Julius Chassin signed in the offseason as a free agent for the Brewers. He had a career year last year in San Diego, and in May he's pitching his best baseball, 1-0 ERA of 1.54. Brewers defense is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Manny Pena back in the lineup after Eric Kratz hit a home run. Jonathan Villar back at second base. Sogard gets a start at shortstop. Saladino on the bench. Arcia's in AAA. Yelich, Kane, and you have to forget about the horse and Kane getting on his horse. You have to play Domingo Santana on Sunday.
Domingo is Sunday in Spanish.
That's right.
How many other players are named after a day of the week? I mean, there's Rick Monday.
Okay.
I mean, does Starling Marte count because Marte is Tuesday?
I would say no.
Hector Luna because Lunes is Monday.
No.
No, so really that's it, right? You got there are a bunch of Domingos. I think there's 7 of them who played in the big leagues. You got Rick Monday, and then the other days of the week are. I mean, Tuesday Weld never played big league ball.
Tuesday Weld. Jeff Saturday's a football player.
There you go. Mets trying to get a split of this series after 2 very ugly losses in different ways the last 2 days. The walk-off walk on Friday night and the drubbing 17-6 yesterday after the Mets won the first game of the series Thursday behind Steven Matz's shutout pitching. Mets are heading to Atlanta after the game today for 4 games in 3 days, starting with a Memorial Day day-night doubleheader tomorrow, and they would like to get away with a win. Sun has come out as we start play today. Roof is open for the 4th straight game. Jhoulys Chacín set to go, and his first pitch to Cabrera is outside, and we're underway.
For you folks at home, Nimmo is on the bench today. He's going to play both games, knock on wood, the doubleheader tomorrow.
And Cabrera takes a 2-seamer for a strike, and it's 1-1. Has dribbled 5 for 15 in this series. Starts the day 9th in the National League with a .314 average, 2nd in the league in doubles with 15. And Chacín gets ahead of him 1-2. Chacín started slow this year, but he has really had a great month of May. 4 starts in May. Chacín is 1-0 with a 1.54 ERA, coming off 5 scoreless innings against Arizona his last time out. And he sails one high to Cabrera, 2-2.
Talking to Brewer folks, he's thrown his fastball more. He's always been known as a guy that will like his slider. That's his best breaking pitch.
Had a really good year in San Diego last year. Won 13 games for the Padres. Changeup misses, and it's 3-2. And he got himself a 2-year, $15 million contract. Basically, he got the same deal from the Brewers that Jason Vargas got from the Mets. And so far, Chacín has been far more productive. 3-2 coming to Cabrera, and he swings at one out of the strike zone for strike 3. Chacín sailing another changeup, and Cabrera chasing it for the first out.
Well, Conforto, 2 home runs in a row in this series. One a split finger from Guerra that he kind of one-handed out of here, and then yesterday just a swipe at an 0-2 pitch that he hit. Who knows how far they hit him now? We get a number. I never believed the number, but whatever it was very prominent home run.
It was hot, brought to you by Geico. So Conforto starting to heat up, and he lifts the first pitch to left field. Christian Yelich coming toward the line. Unlike Brawny, wears sunglasses in left, and that's the second out. That's the Sun Field here in Milwaukee, and we're starting 2 hours earlier than we did yesterday. Braun chose to use his glove as a shield and the sunglasses on top of his hat. Yelich going with a more conventional use of the sunglasses. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores. Wilmer's had a good series, 5 for 13 with 3 RBIs after a 3-hit game yesterday. And he takes a fastball for a strike from his countryman Chacín. Chacín, 30-year-old Venezuelan, now with his 6th different major league team after starting his career with the Rockies. And he's quickly ahead on Flores.
I'll tell you, Derek Johnson has him pitching quickly. He always was a slow worker. Completely changed here in Milwaukee.
That can only be a good thing.
Always. Quick pitch.
And
see you later.
He got Flores looking. Wilmer was not ready for it on the quick pitch by Chacín, and that's how this first inning ends. 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning. Julie's Chassis will quick pitch him.
But he waited the right amount of time, waited for Wilmer to get his eyes on, and then boom. And Wilmer walks away, and there's some advanced scout for the Met who just turned his phone off for the rest of the game.
Starting lineup for the Brewers brought to you by Audi. Ryan Braun back on the bench. And so Jesus Aguilar has started every game in this series. Domingo Santana gets the start in right. Jonathan Villar back at second. Facing Zach Wheeler as Lorenzo Cain leads off. It's a bouncer toward the middle of the diamond. Rosario tries the bare hand, can't come up with it. And Cain has an infield hit to start the bottom of the first.
Well, that ball is rolling too hard to barehand it. Unless you're Omar Vizquel. Better to get that with your glove and give you a chance. Just moving too hard. I mean, Cain's got great speed, but it takes him a while to get out of the box because he has such a big swing. Things start like they ended yesterday.
6th hit in the series for Cain. Brewers had 17 runs and 19 hits yesterday. There's Christian Yelich, who was a big part of that, had a double, triple, and single in yesterday's game. Cain with 11 stolen bases. As you look at Wheeler's numbers.
Wheeler's numbers 1-1 on the road. ERA a minuscule 2.01 in 3 starts.
He jams Yelich and he fouls off the fastball.
Mets defense is brought to you by the New York Lottery. You never know. So Nito behind the plate today. Nevin Mesorasko started 4 straight games. Nito's out there, and Bautista gets a start in left field after that big hit 2 nights ago.
3 plate appearances in the series, got on base all 3, so he earns a start. Nimmo getting the day off. 1-1 to Yelich, who is 6 for 13 in this series with 4 runs driven in. Remember, the Brewers got shut out the first game of the series. They rallied to win on Friday, and then they scored 17 runs yesterday, and everybody had a hand in it. That's lined into right field, and Yelich has a base hit. Cain will pull in at second. So back-to-back base hits for the Brewers to start the bottom of the first.
Well, I don't know what the average exit velocity of the hits that the Brewers got yesterday, but boy, a lot of them were that variety. Just line drives off the bats of the Brewers, and this one hit right on the screws by Yelich. So it doesn't matter if he's in a Marlins uniform, Brewers uniform, he hits the Mets.
I mean, the Mets used to see Yelich 19 times a year. This may be the best series that he's ever had against them.
Yeah, if you're Zach Wheeler, we've heard a lot about Dave Island and trying to pitch inside. I'd have to really air one of these guys out and get him off the plate and say, hey, this is not happening today. What happened yesterday? Nonsense.
So an early crisis for Wheeler, who's had first inning struggles all season. Jesus Aguilar 3 for 12 in this series, including a long home run yesterday, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Wheeler's first inning ERA this season is 10.13. Now, his last start against Miami, he escaped the first inning, but then gave up 3 in the second. And he comes low and into Aguilar. 1-1.
Have to be careful with Cain and Yelich on the bases. Tons of speed. Always have to be aware of the double steal, even with the big hitting Aguilar at the plate.
They each have a stolen base in this series. Wheeler's been better than most on the Mets staff at holding runners. Only 3 steals in 8 starts against him.
DeGrom's the best. Wheeler's right behind him.
Travis Shaw looming on deck. And Aguilar fouls off the fastball. It's 2-2. Jesus Aguilar as good as they come with 2 strikes.
What an average. Whew.
I mean, anything over 200 is really good.
I mean, over 100 points higher.
Two coming. And this is low. And a full count to Aguilar.
So with that average, do you think about it if you're Counsell? Putting the runners, and not in motion, but maybe giving them a chance to steal a base because you think Aguilar is going to put the ball in play, stay out of the double play.
He has struck out 5 times in this series, mostly on breaking balls. He lifts this one to right center deep. Conforto back in the gap with Bruce, and Bruce makes the catch, and now it rolls free. Around third comes Kane. He's going to score. Yelich stops at second. That ball came free. I thought Bruce had it in his glove, but apparently not.
I think that it went past Bruce and got in Conforto's glove, and Conforto dropped it. Let me see.
You're right.
Yeah.
And he rolled over, and the ball fell out.
So Bruce couldn't get to it like a ball yesterday. Conforto got there, and it didn't stick.
Well, that's a ball that absolutely has to be caught. That ball was in the air a long, long time.
We have seen that right center field gap has not been able to be closed down by Bruce and Conforto.
Well, the injury to Juan Lagares takes away by far the Mets' best defensive outfielder, and we have seen it come back to bite the Mets a number of times recently. So 3 straight hits, and that will be scored a hit for Aguilar, produce a run, and still nobody out. And now Travis Shaw at the plate, the most productive hitter in the Milwaukee lineup.
Well, it's interesting. Aguilar is telling Yelich to run. Yelich is trying to tag up because he thought the ball was going to be caught. Luckily, Aguilar didn't pass Yelich on the bases.
So an ugly start for the Mets. An infield hit on a ball Rosario chose to barehand. A hard hit by Yelich, and then the fly ball by Aguilar that Conforto and Bruce could not get together and catch. And now Wheeler behind on Shaw 2-0. Shaw with 13 home runs, 35 RBIs, up among the league leaders in both, and he drills one foul. 2-1.
You know, the comfortability factor of these Brewers when they're coming to the plate is alarming for me to watch. Because they're teeing off.
Well, you've got a pitching coach who preaches pitching inside.
Well, I haven't seen it. Not enough, anyway, for my taste.
Yelich at second, Aguilar at first with nobody out. Shaw is 5 for 8 in this series with 3 extra base hits. And he fouls one back. As that pitch was thrown, Rosario had run to the bag at second looking for a pickoff play, but poor communication. Wheeler threw the pitch. So everything is going awry early in this game. Christian Villanueva hit a couple of home runs yesterday to move one off the league lead. Shaw 4th in the league in home runs. 2-2 coming, and it's low and in. The full count to Shaw. Second straight full count for Wheeler. Domingo Santana waiting on deck. And Shaw pops one up. Might be playable for Flores. He has room to make the catch for the first out.
Big out.
So Wheeler retires Shaw. First and second, 1 out for Domingo Santana, who was 2 for 5 in this series with a couple of runs driven in. Yesterday, the Brewers had 9 players drive in a run and 9 players score a run. They had never had that happen in their history, but they did it yesterday for the first time. They scored more runs yesterday than they had in any game in 8 years. And a high fastball has Santana swinging, 0-1. Keep in mind, as Wheeler struggles early in this game, he's got to get deep into this game. The Mets have 2 games tomorrow, and even though they have DeGrom pitching in the first game, they have got to get some length out of their starter today, after Vargas went 3 innings yesterday. A broken bat looper. Rosario grabs it for the second out. Ball didn't have a lot of carry to it, but scary off the bat. Rosario able to grab it.
Well, the 2 outs that Wheeler has gotten has been up and in to Travis Shaw and up and in to Santana with the broken bat. 2 broken bats, 2 outs, 2 pitches in.
So a chance to get through this inning with only 1 run scoring. Jonathan Villar, the batter. Villar 0 for 5 in this series. By the way, just talking about the Mets needing their starter to go deep. They did make 1 move in the bullpen today. Chris Flexen, after getting shellacked in relief yesterday, got sent down. P.J. Conlon called up, and he's available today if the Mets need a long man. A curveball in for a strike.
The contact way up on that label, breaking the bat of Santana. Nice to see. When guys get comfortable, it's because they start creeping over the outside part of that plate, so you got to make them honest inside.
One other note about the Mets bullpen: A.J. Ramos is not here. He was sent back to New York to have his shoulder looked at. He complained of some tightness after his 2nd straight poor outing yesterday. So the Mets are shy 1 reliever today. They have reinforcements on the way. Both Hansel Robles and Gerson Bautista have headed to Atlanta, where they could be joining the Mets tomorrow. They'll be on reserve. Of course, you can add a 26th man for the doubleheader tomorrow. 1 and 2 to VR. So a lot of moving parts right now, but the bottom line is the guys who take the mound have got to perform. And
yes.
Since Thursday night, that really has not happened. And the Mets overall now are in the bottom half of the league in ERA.
I remember I occasionally have these kind of games where you know you're going to be in there for 7+ innings. I remember just kiddingly would say to myself, you better be good today because you're going to be out there for at least 2 hours. So figure it out.
22 pitches deep already in this 1st inning, and trying to put an end to it. 2 out, 2 on, 2 and 2 to VR, and he just got a piece to stay alive.
What's Wheeler been this year? About 105 guy, 105 to 110.
He threw 106 in his last start, and that was his season high. And Jason Vargas, who said after the game that he thought he had thrown good pitches yesterday, but obviously the results weren't good.
Yeah,
it's always a little strange when you hear a pitcher say that.
Yeah, I don't get that. I wish I was there to put it in context, but he's only out there for 3 innings. That in no way makes a good start.
On the inside corner or just off it? Apparently off it.
I told you this quartet, you don't get the pitch that you would like to get.
Rob Drake, the home plate umpire. Hate the Drake.
That's a strong word. Oh, not Rob Drake, just the Drake.
It's a Seinfeld thing. Runners get set to go. Yelich at second, Aguilar at first with 3 and 2 and 2 down. And he strikes him out on the 3-2 fastball. First strikeout for Wheeler, and he's able to minimize the damage after Michael Conforto was unable to squeeze this ball. That resulted in an RBI hit for Aguilar. My bad, says Michael. 1-0 Milwaukee. 1-0 Milwaukee as we go to the second. Jhoulys Chacín retired the side in order, including a quick pitch that Wilmer Flores wasn't ready for. 2 plays not made in the field produced a run for Milwaukee. Zach Wheeler did well to keep it to 1 run, and now the Mets will try and answer back. Jay Bruce 2 for 12 in this series, and he takes the sinker low and away for ball 1.
Chacín all fastballs so far.
Bruce, Gonzalez, and Bautista for the Mets in the second. .35 home runs against the Brewers, more than he has against any other team.
He didn't give any signs on Manny Pena because he's like, what sign? Just throw the sinker in here. Let's go, bro.
Instead, he goes with a changeup, and it's 2-1.
Maybe that's why.
He had a different plan in mind.
Yes, he did.
Ground ball toward the shift. Backhanded by VR. The throw on a hop. Not handled by Aguilar. And safe at first is Bruce. That'll be an infield single for Jay. Infield single to the outfield.
So the one thing you see about the shift is that if the ball's hit right at the infielder, then it's a nice shift. But when they have to move to their right or left, the throw is too long to be able to get the runner at first base. Although a pick by Aguilar would have helped. Yeah, he would have been out if he made the pick.
Chacín was hoping. So the Mets have their first base runner. Bruce with an infield hit. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who's 2 for 12 in this series.
That was a great reaction. That's a pitcher's reaction, is that you're like, I can't believe you didn't make that play, but I love you guys. Keep it going. Try hard. Let's go.
Well, I think sometimes pitchers react emotionally and then realize, well, I can't be showing up my teammates.
Yeah,
so they have to then make the next gesture.
That's right. Unless you're like Jim Palmer or something like that, or John Lackey. He wouldn't mind just letting you know.
I mean, Al Leiter used to react emotionally.
Yeah, but
he reacted emotionally to everything, including his own pitching.
He's very emotional about everything. My office is next to his at the Major League Baseball Network. He's always emotional.
Gonzalez has good numbers against Chacín. .364 in 22 at bats. And he's hit by the pitch, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Chacín, who led the league in hitting batters last year, 14 of them, has his 3rd of this season. Got him on the back foot. So the Mets have 2 men on, and now Jose Bautista making his 2nd start since joining the Mets. 3 plate appearances in this series, a game-tying hit on Friday, and 2 walks, and a chance here with 2 men on. And he lines one to center field. Kane coming on. He'll have to play it on the hop, and everybody will move up the base. And so Bautista has another base hit, and the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out.
Well, the alarm clock has gone off for the Mets. Kane plays a pretty deep center field, so no chance for him to make that play.
Meanwhile, Bautista heating up before heading back to Atlanta to play the team that just released him. Here's Tomas Nido. So the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out, but because they have the pitcher batting 8th now, you've got Nido and then Wheeler to try and get a run in. Nido 6 for 41 with 2 RBIs. And he lines a base hit to center field. That'll bring in Bruce. Gonzalez being waved home and then stopped. He was started by Glenn Sherlock and then held, and probably a wise decision. So it's an RBI hit for Nido to tie the game, and the Mets still have the bases loaded with nobody out.
Well, the rare hit by Nido, you got to like that. 4 in a row for the Mets. Fastball inside, the inside-out swing. And I think it was a good play by Sherlock. Gonzalez doesn't run that well. That throw was well off. Probably would have scored. But, you know, you have no outs, and you still got the bases loaded.
So the second straight first pitch base hit, Bautista and then Nito, and now Wheeler bats. And he takes well outside for ball one. Wheeler's got 4 hits this year, 4 for 14. Best hitting start of his career. Looking for his first run batted into the season. And Zach rips one to right. That'll get a run in. Santana can't catch it. It's over his head. Gonzalez is in. Bautista being waved around third. The throw to the plate is not in time. Wheeler breaks for an unoccupied second base, and he'll make it safely. And the Mets have a 3-1 lead. Wheeler hit a bullet, and Santana had it sail over his head. A single, 2 RBIs, and the Mets lead 3-1.
Well, Santana was playing too shallow, so he never could get back to that linea from Zach Wheeler. And the Mets come out firing here in the second inning. They just beat him to the spot. See the Mets bullpen react. That was nice. Just out of his reach. And then there was some funny stuff on the bases. You knew 2 runs were going to score, but the runner on first wasn't sure if it was going to be caught or not. Thomas Nito. So the runner on second wasn't sure if the runner at third was going to score. He comes in. Nito goes to third, and then Wheeler realized there's no one at second base, so let me take it.
I mean, that's a big omission on the part of the Brewers, not having anybody at second base. Shortstop should be there. But Wheeler, with heads up base running, took the unoccupied base. So the Mets, with 3 runs home in the inning, still nobody out. Now 2 in scoring position for Ahmed Rosario, and a chance to really put up a big number. The infield will stay back at second and short and concede another run on a ground ball. Rosario had most of the day off yesterday. He did draw a walk as a pinch hitter. 3 for 8 in this series with a home run. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Well, Chacin finally busting out his slider after getting ambushed. He gave up 3 hits in a span of 4 pitches to Bautista, Nito, and Wheeler. Rosario pops one up. This should be playable in foul ground for Aguilar, and that's the first out of the inning. So Rosario can't get the run in. And now 1 out for Asdrubal Cabrera.
It's almost like Chacin had this game plan that the Mets are very patient early in the count. I'm going to get ahead of all these hitters, and the Mets will come out swinging on this Sunday day game.
First run of the game brought to you by the Hyundai Memorial Day event. Happened so quickly that 3 runs scored before he could get the first run of the game in. Middle infielders stay back with second and third and 1 out. Cabrera struck out to open the game. And a check swing foul at the plate. 0-1. Well, Chacin pitched very well against the Mets in New York. He gave up 1 run in 4 innings back on the 15th of April, and he had himself a 1-2-3 inning today, but things have caved in on him quickly here in the second inning, starting with Bruce's soft hit to right, and it has progressed from there. He has missed badly with a bunch of those fastballs.
Usually when he's at his best, that fastball is down on the knees. He has sinky action when he's at his best.
Wheeler at second and Nito at third with 1 out. And now the slider stays outside, so everything is a mess right now for Chacin, and the Mets trying to take full advantage. Four hits in the inning have already produced 3 runs. And Cabrera drills one deep but foul. That made it to the third deck.
Cabby looked like he had a little issue with his knees the last couple of days.
Came out of the game a little bit early yesterday. They checked out his knee, and no issue that he can't play through. 2-2 coming, and the breaking ball lined into right for a base hit. Nito comes in to score. Wheeler will stop at third as Dribble Cabrera drives in a run, the 4th run of the inning, and it's 4-1 New York. 30th run batted in for Cabrera.
Boy, if this isn't an example of keep the line moving. Whoa. Kind of what the Mets were doing when they were in the hottest streak at the beginning of the season. Everyone getting their base hits, keep the line moving. One hop to Santana, so no need for Sherlock to send Zach Wheeler.
So now runners at the corner, still only 1 out with 4 runs home in the inning. Michael Conforto, the 8th man up. He flied out to left his first time up. And Michael takes a sinker out of the strike zone. Been a lot of first pitch balls with that sinker from Chacin. And Conforto with a good cut fouls back the fastball 1-1. Michael's homered in back-to-back games. He's never homered in 3 straight games in his career. He's got 6 now for the year. And that one in the dirt. Stopped by Pena, 2-1. Homer Flores batting 3rd in the order, waiting on deck. This is a ballpark that, when the weather's warm and the roof is open, produces a lot of runs. We saw that yesterday. Conforto fouls it back, and it's 2-2. And if you have the opportunity to put a hammer down in an inning like this, it would really behoove you to do so, especially as well as the Brewers have swung the bats the last couple of days. Two coming, and Conforto takes it high, and now the count is full. So now, would you send Cabrera from first? Chacin is not a big strikeout pitcher.
Not a strikeout pitcher. I think Conforto swinging the bat well. Yes, I would send Cabby.
Not going, and Conforto fouls off the sinker.
You know, the only reason you might not is because you don't want to, because of the knee acting up. Maybe that's a decision. I would send him.
I mean, Chacin's strikeouts are down from last year. Last year he was 7.6 strikeouts per 9. This year 6.6, which in this day and age is a very low number.
You're trying to find a way to ignite some offense for the Mets. That's a way to do it.
Again, the 3-2, and he lays off the breaking ball, and he did not swing. Ball 4, and that loads him up for Flores. So the first walk given up by Chacin. And now the bases are loaded with 1 out, and Wilmer, who got quick pitched and fooled for a call 3rd strike in the 1st inning, will stand in ready with the bases loaded. No quick pitches out of the stretch.
No.
Wheeler at 3rd, Cabrera at 2nd, Conforto at 1st with 1 out. Mets looking to put together a king-sized inning. And a first pitch breaking ball popped up. Shallow left in foul ground. Sogard to the tarp, reaches up and makes a terrific catch. Eric Sogard getting the start at shortstop, using all of the tarp and as much stretch as his body has to make that backhand play.
Well, this is why Sogard has made a living in the major leagues, because he is a gamer and will do anything to make a play that's productive for his ball club. Feels for it, gets on top of it. And how about the Brewers fans? Leave him alone. Mets fans, you might have been able to get in there, make it tougher. But nice play by Sogard.
And with Wheeler at 3rd, he had no thoughts of trying to tag on that. So now 2 out of the inning, and Jay Bruce, who started it with an infield hit, will bat with the bases loaded.
Out of the windup for Chacin.
And Bruce lifts one to left field. Back goes Kane on the track in left center. He makes the catch, and that retires the side. But 10 Mets come to bat in that second inning. They score 4, might have had more, but for the fine play by Sogard against Wilmer Flores. 4-1 Mets in the second. About 35 minutes before first pitch, they had the sprinklers on in the outfield, which seemed a little unconventional. I mean, they water the infield before the game. They don't usually water the outfield in that close proximity to game time.
No BP by other team today.
So we sent Steve Gelbs on the case to try and find out why. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, it is unconventional, and it's really just based on the temperature, not outside, but of the soil. The soil's temperature ideally should be around 65 degrees, but today it was in the mid-80s, and what was happening is it was actually frying the grass. So the grounds crew made the decision to try and keep those sprinklers on as long as they could to try and get that temperature, the soil, down before game time.
Good investigative reporting there, Steve.
Thank you very much.
See some of the discolored grass, which they're trying to avoid. Manny Pena leading off the home second, flies one foul, and it's 0-2.
We're going to lose Gelbs to 60 minutes here soon. He keeps going on this pace.
Daily beast.
Yeah, because we're more like the onion up here.
Yes. And Wheeler strikes out Pena with a fastball. His second strikeout of the day. So Wheeler, fresh off his 2-run hit and his long time spent on the bases on a hot day, gets a strikeout.
Last 2 strikeouts been up in the strike zone, so that's something to keep our eye on for Wheeler as the game goes on.
So now Eric Sogard, who made that fine play up against the tarp in the last half inning. Sogard just came back from a stint in the minor leagues and had a big hit for the Brewers on Friday night to snap an 0-for-28 stretch. And he takes a strike. Sogard had a nice year for the Brewers last year, hit .273 and did a lot of that damage, it seemed, against the Mets. This year just hitting 111, 7-for-63. And the curveball from Zach bends around the plate. That's 1-1.
Ooh, early with the Chevrolet.
Yesterday, the shadows were a big issue with the later start. The shadows are just starting to encroach, covering first base and part of right field. 2-1 to Sogard. So it'll become more of an issue as we move through the middle portion of this game.
So a guy batting 111, this is a pretty easy call. 2-1 count. Just go after him. Something away. Let him hit a fly ball to center.
Like that. Back goes Conforto.
Thank you.
And he makes the catch, 2 out. You know,
I say that, and I know it sounds funny, and it sounds like I'm making a joke, but it's really not a joke. I mean, there's certain counts when you're winning 4-1 that's the pitch you have to throw.
I would just like to point out to you that with the recent Supreme Court decision, that kind of prescience might be able to make you a little side money down the road.
Okay, that's right. I'm going to have to get my own podcast, and I'll let you guys know what I feel about the pitching matchups every day.
Jhoulys Chacín, a pretty good hitting pitcher, 190 career average, 3 for 19 this year. I mean, they're talking about the possibility of being able to, you know, wager on individual events within games on your smartphone somewhere down the road.
So at some point I'm going to have to take that part of my game away and not talk about those things.
Or just keep your smartphone with you in the booth. I don't know how that'll jive with your contract, but you know.
RJ, what do you think's coming up next?
And he might be able to tweet it out to the world.
That's right.
Here's the 0-2 and the curveball in the dirt, 1-2.
I don't know if I can get it in, but with 2 outs, the most interesting person I've ever come up with was a big fan of the Mets, came up and gave me a hug because he said he was a degenerate gambler and he bet on me every game in 1986, and the Mets only lost, I think, 8 times when I pitched that year.
So he retired on you?
He bought his house. And then he said he stopped gambling. So it was all a good story. Unique story, but that was.
He picked the right year, that's for sure.
He did.
One-two from Wheeler, and just missed. 2-2. Well, yesterday the Mets had an early 3-run lead that disappeared quickly. Wheeler hoping for better today. And Chacín strikes out on the high fastball. Wheeler has his 3rd strikeout in a 1-2-3 inning after getting the lead. 4-1 Mets after 2.
Record for pass balls, and I did that without playing every game. There was a game, as a matter of fact, during that year when Phil Niekro's brother and he were pitching against each other in Atlanta. Their parents were sitting right behind home plate. I saw their folks more that day than they did the whole weekend.
The unforgettable and inimitable Bob Uecker.
To tell you how famous he still is, he was in the Mets locker room yesterday, and every single player came up and wanted to have their picture taken with him. There's the Uke, my favorites.
Of course, Uke won the Ford Frick Award 2003. Made his speech at the Hall of Fame. 50 years he's been broadcasting Brewers baseball.
I don't know where you park at our ballpark on Roosevelt or something, but Euchre has his own spot in the ballpark in the bowels of the stadium where he just parks his beautiful Corvette, and when he's ready to go, he goes.
In a place where nobody else parks. Just him.
No, it's not a parking spot.
No, it's in the tunnel, the service tunnel, where, you know, a lot of people are coming and going, but there's only one car.
I mean, it's tremendous.
Adrian Gonzalez was hit by a pitch his first time up. And he chases a high fastball, and it's 1-2.
There's as soon as the game is done, he bolts for the elevator. They hold the elevator just for him to go downstairs. No one else can get on it. Boom, he's out of here.
And he gets a golf cart from the elevator to his car. Keith doesn't get that service.
I guess we're just jealous.
1-2 coming. And the slider in there, call strike 3. Gonzalez didn't think so. Rob Drake rings him up for the first out. I think you and Keith ought to hold out for that in your next contract.
What?
Parking in the tunnel, get the golf cart, hold the elevator, the whole thing.
Oh,
here's Bautista, who had a base hit to center field and scored a run in the second inning. And he takes a slider for a strike. So Chassin, after early on throwing nothing but fastballs and changeups, has finally started to mix in his signature pitch, which is a slider. A really odd approach today from Chassin, and now he's ahead on Bautista 0-2.
He had some strange last year. San Diego, he pitched well at home and just awful on the road.
3 sliders in a row, and it's 1-2 to Bautista. I mean, this is a pitcher who throws his slider 38% of the time.
It's almost like he was trying to rush through the lineup the first time, and the Mets wouldn't allow him.
And that's laced into left field, and Bautista has another hit. So Jose Bautista having himself a series here in Milwaukee. He's now 3 for 3 with 2 walks in his 5 plate appearances.
Big leg kick right on time on that fastball, and a bullet.
He's getting ready for Atlanta.
Yes, he is. He wants to go deep a couple times there, I'm sure.
Braves gave him 12 games before they decided to pull the plug, but it turns out that, you know, maybe that was his spring training and got him ready to go, because he's looked good at the plate since joining the Mets. Now 4 hits and 7 at bats. Tomas Nido takes a big cut of the slider, and it's 0-1. Nido drove in a run with a first pitch base hit into center field in the second inning. The first of the 4 runs the Mets scored in that second against Chassin. And he chases a slider, and it's 0-2. Aguilar waiting on deck, fresh off his 2-run hit his first time up today. And Nido tops one back to Chassin, gets the out at second. The relay doubles up Nido. Side retired. 1-4-3 on the double play. 4-1 New York in the third. On the Cubs at 110. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fanny pack presented by Empire City Casino. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases post-game in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Upcoming schedule brought to you by Bob's. Everything's better with the Bobopedic. Find out why at mybobs.com. Doubleheader in Atlanta tomorrow, 1 o'clock for the first game, 7 for the second. Then 2 night games Tuesday and Wednesday before the Mets come home to play the Cubs, the Orioles, and the Yankees on the next homestand starting on Thursday.
And that night game on Wednesday has, I mean, it just makes no sense. Getaway day, night game the next day in New York.
And the Braves play their night games in the weekdays at 7:30. Later than everybody else. Lorenzo Cain had an infield hit in the first inning.
Remind me to get an extra fanny pack for Al Friedman, because he's one of the few people I know that still uses one. So our cameraman.
You think he needs a new one?
Yeah. Oh, yes, he does.
Miller pops him inside. He falls behind 3-0. Christian Yelich and Jesus Aguilar to follow. Second time around the batting order for Wheeler, who gave up 3 hits and a run in the first, and since has retired 6 in a row. Cain taking all the way, and it's ball 4. And the Brewers have the leadoff man on in the third. Wheeler's first walk. Zach did not walk a batter in his last start in Miami, which was very rare for him. Only the 3rd time in his career he had gone at least 6 innings and not walked a batter. So he's walked his first today, and it's Cain, who's a base stealer. Yelich at the plate had a hard single to right his first time up, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Cain has 5 hits and 3 walks in this series. Table setter.
Even with his hit the last time up, Yelich doesn't have very good career numbers against Wheeler. 3 for 16, including that hit.
Wheeler, some of his best games have come against the Marlins when Yelich was on that ball club.
Yeah, but now he's wearing a different uniform. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Check swing grounder. Flores has to charge. Running throw, and he throws it away. And did it go out of play? No, it's still in play. Yelich stops at first. Cain goes all the way to third. Wilmer Flores is having a big-time problem right now throwing balls to first base.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Wilmer. Each and every throw, and I'm not going to even count this one because this was going to be a close play at first base, but he's almost hurt his first baseman a couple times, and if it wasn't for the nifty footwork of Gonzalez and the scooping of Gonzalez, he would have had at least 3 errors in this series.
It's an infield hit for Yelich, and then an error on Flores allowing Cain to advance to third. And so Wheeler, just like in the first inning, having trouble against the top of the batting order, not all of his own making.
Mickey Callaway was asked about the Mets infield defense. He's very happy with it. I was very surprised by that answer personally.
I mean, I understand you want to be supportive of your players,
yep,
but you have to be realistic about it as well, don't you?
Yeah, not a lot of range, inability to turn 2. I can go on and on.
I mean, the one bright spot on the infield has been Adrian Gonzalez, who's, he's been a Gold Glover. He's obviously lost a step, but he is terrific, and as you say, has saved his infielders a lot of errors this year. Aguilar hit the fly ball to right center that Conforto had and dropped for a base hit that drove in the first run of this game, and now Wheeler's behind him 2-0. And Tomas Nido is going to go out for a conversation.
Well, this is one of those conversations where you come out. I mean, I don't know what they're going to talk about, but if I were a catcher, I'd say, hey, listen, we had an error behind you, but your job is to pick these guys up. So, as a pitcher, sometimes you get angry when your infielders don't make some plays, but you got to get over it quickly and go back to work and get some outs.
The other thing right now for Wheeler, I mean, you've got hitters standing in shadows and you're pitching out of the sunlight. You should be challenging people.
That's right.
Instead, he has given up a walk, and Wilmer made the error behind him. Now he's 2-1 on Aguilar with Travis Shaw on deck. And Aguilar grounds one foul, and it's 2-2.
Oh, nice technique by the ball person. 2 hands. The Dark Sox might have to go, but other than that, perfect form.
The 99 is a good call.
Yeah. The temperature today.
Close to. "95" says the weather bug.
67 here in the booth.
Low humidity, well, maybe 45. They love their air conditioning here in Milwaukee. I don't get it. They have 9 months when it's freezing cold here. You'd think they'd like some warm weather. Aguilar unloads to deep left field. Back goes Bautista to the wall, and it's out of here. And just like that, the Brewers tie the game. Jesus Aguilar with a 3-run homer, his 9th of the year, his 2nd of this series. And it's 4-4 in the 3rd. And here we go again.
Well,
Aguilar's driven in all 4 runs today for the Brewers, and they've gotten even.
and he was on a hot stretch coming into this series. So now 3 runs driven in yesterday, including a home run, and here just a moonshot. Tried to go up in Bernie's dugout area.
Home run was as high as it was long. Now Travis Shaw, and he can't hold his swing on a curveball. 0-1.
So 3-0 lead the Mets had yesterday, a 5-3 lead the Mets had yesterday, 4-1 lead they had today.
For Wheeler, the 7th home run he's given up this year in 46 innings.
And caught Nito right on the toe, I think.
Travis Shaw fouled out to third his first time up. Day off for Devin Mesoraco. Weller. And slider at the feet. 2-2.
Good to see Zach start to mix in, especially against these left-handed hitters. That split finger fastball of his. Should be able to get some outs on that, especially against Shaw.
He comes inside with the fastball, and it's 3-2. Still nobody out in the inning. And Shaw fouls one off the left side. That'll go out of play. Nets are heading to Atlanta tomorrow. Braves are finishing their series in Boston, trying to salvage the last game of that series. They're up 6-1 in the 7th. There's ball 4 as Shaw's on with the 2nd walk of the inning issued by Wheeler. Next 3 series. Braves have been shut out twice in their last 5 games, but they're hitting again today. Then the Mets go home to play the Cubs, the Orioles, and the Yankees. One note about the Braves today: Ronald Acuna just hurt his leg running out a ground ball. He got up, came off under his own power.
Do you remember when Bryce Harper hurt his knee on the wet bag at first base, hyperextending it? I've been told by a friend of mine that it's the same kind of injury that Harper had last year, hyperextended knee on slipping on first base.
But he was able to walk off, so that's good news.
Yes.
We'll see where it goes from there. But Obviously, he's cooled off a little bit after his hot start, but you know, one of the most exciting young players in the game. He and Ozzie Albies at the top of that Braves batting order. Two young and extremely talented players. Here's Domingo Santana, and he takes low for ball one. Meanwhile, Albies has just been extraordinary, leading the league in extra base hits. 14 home runs from that rather small frame.
Who leads the NL in home runs? Harper?
Harper is 15. Yeah. But he's hitting about 230.
Yeah.
He's been very frustrated lately. And Davey Martinez came out and said yesterday that he's got to get Bryce back to where he's willing to accept the walks and not get so frustrated.
He'll get less walks once Murphy comes back.
Although Mark Reynolds right now hidden behind him,
that's right,
been just tearing it up. Santana pops one foul that'll come back out of play.
We're kiddingly talking about Domingo Santana and his first name. Last year, 30 home runs, 9 of them came on Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What you need is a week full of Sundays. Domingo would be an MVP. 1-2 from Wheeler, and he struck him out with a slider. So Wheeler has his 4th strikeout, and that finally is the first out of the inning.
Well, you would think after watching Noah Syndergaard pitch against Santana in the first game that the slider would be your pitch of choice against him in any series.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Jonathan VR, who struck out his first time up. Knee-high fastball for a strike. VR looking for his first hit in this series. And Wheeler gets ahead of him 0-2. VR had a really nice year last year. Hit 285, 19 home runs. Oh, it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And then really slipped last year. Hasn't hit for as much power this year as he did 2 years ago, but has certainly picked it up from last season.
62 stolen bases. Complete player. Looks like he's filled out a little from 2 years ago, and also his swing looks a lot bigger than it did 2 years ago. Maybe trying to hit too many home runs.
Shaw at first with 1 out. And VR takes it down low, 2-2. Manny Pena, the catcher, waiting on deck. Wheeler trying to slog his way through this 3rd inning after giving up the 3-run homer to Aguilar. Double play ball to Rosario. He'll take it himself. 6-6-3 double play gets Wheeler through the inning. But Jesus Aguilar with a moonshot, his 2nd home run of this series, his 9th of the year. Just have to wait for it to come down. 3-run shot ties the game. It's 4-4 after 3. Nice shot of the Milwaukee River, some of the craft moving downtown. The Art Museum over by Lake Michigan. Well, yesterday we were 5-5 after 3. Today we're 4-4 after 3. Where's this one going?
It's a lot of wild games here, right?
Zach Wheeler drilled one over the head of Santana in right field for a 2-run hit his first time up. And then adroitly took second, which was unoccupied as that play was concluding. So far, Wheeler's offensive day has gone better than his pitching day. And now Chacin behind him 3-0. It's been an up and down afternoon for Chacin. Got the side in order in the first, completely lost his way in the second, broke out his slider in the third and got some outs. Now he's 3-1 on Wheeler with Rosario and Cabrera to follow in the fourth. And Wheeler skies one on the left side. Shaw into foul territory. 1 out. Download the app, play for free, start your streak, and compete to win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store or on MLB.com/BTS. Now Ahmed Rosario, who fouled out to first base. His first time up. So at this time of day, when you're in the sunlight and the hitter's in the shadow, how would you best attack a hitter?
Well, I think attack a hitter, breaking balls in the dirt, fastballs up in the eyes.
That's a fair ball. Shaw with a long throw to make on target to get Rosario for the second out.
I just always felt like the hitters could not pick up that ball upstairs, and there would be a lot of swing and misses. But one thing I would be is aggressive. You know, throw strikes, go after them.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Cabrera, who drove in a run with a base hit in that Mets 4-run second. And he got about another half inning or so before that shadow clears the mound. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyOffers.com. Cabrera lifts one to center, and Kane is right there waiting for it. And so Jhoulys Chacin has a 1-2-3 top of the fourth. Wheeler heads back to the mound in a 4-4 game. Outpost for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League back in the 40s and early 50s. Milwaukee Chicks were one of the participants in that league, which inspired the movie A League of Their Own.
One of my favorite baseball movies by far. You know Casey Candale? Do you remember him?
Yeah,
his mom.
Yeah,
his mom was one of the players.
Was she Madonna or Rosie O'Donnell?
I don't know.
We have some kind of delay here. They're looking into the Mets dugout. I think we're short a player. It appears as though Luis Guillorme is coming into the game.
Cabby's hurt.
No, Cabby's out there.
Oh, so it's Rosario.
It's Flores is coming out.
Sorry.
Flores is out of the game, and Guillorme is replacing him at third base. So I don't know what the issue was with Wilmer. We know he's had throwing problems, but he certainly didn't appear to have any physical ill. So we'll wait for a report on that. Guillorme takes over for Flores.
A little more time, I could have went through the whole lineup before I got the right person. Jeez.
Here's Pena leading off in the home fourth. Pena struck out his first time up. Zach Wheeler trying to right himself after giving up the 3-run bomb to Aguilar that tied the game in the third.
Did Guillorme come into the game and not throw one ball? Like not even play catch?
I did not see him warm up at all. No. Pena lifts one out to left. Bautista at the edge of the warning track to reel it in. One long out. So one away now, Eric Sogard, who flied out to center his first time up. I mean, Wilmer didn't bat the last 2 innings, so it couldn't have been anything that happened there. Maybe he was feeling ill. I have no earthly idea.
You know, maybe because his throws are a result of a reason. Maybe he's got something wrong with his elbow or shoulder.
Well, we'll wait for a report to find out why he's left the game. Sogard takes a fastball for a strike. And the curveball flied out to left. Bautista in and makes the grab. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 fly balls to left. Pitcher Chacin will bat. So last night Bartolo Colon took the mound looking to tie Juan Marichal's record for most wins by a Dominican pitcher, and he pitched really well. Went 7 innings, but got no decision. However, there was a kind of a similar mark that fell in that same game. Shin-Soo Choo hit a walk-off home run for the Rangers to win that game and broke Hideki Matsui's record, as Rosario has that ball come up on him and boots it, and Chacin is aboard. Ball took a wicked hop.
Let's watch this next hop.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
So it's an error on Rosario, the Mets' second error of the game. They had 2 yesterday. Anyway, Shin-Soo Choo broke Hideki Matsui's record for most home runs by an Asian-born player. 176 home runs. One more than Matsui. So congratulations to him. And he was extremely proud of the record. He said, "My dad always told me, if you're going to do something, be #1 at it." And now I am.
He will until Ohtani breaks it in about 10 years.
Yeah, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Depends how much he gets to bat. Lorenzo Cain's been on base twice with an infield hit and a walk, and he's scored both times. Cain is now 6 for 14 in this series. He has really had an impressive 4 games after signing that 5-year $80 million contract. One of the most rewarded players in a slow off season for free agents, and he has gotten off to a great start. Fastball strike 2-1.
And the reason it is impactful is because there weren't a lot of big contracts being given out to older players. Look at, he's got a chip on the end of his bat. Usually you toss that, but it's hot in this series. I guess he figures if he hits the ball on that part of the bat, it's not going to be a good at bat.
Gonzalez playing behind Chassin, running at first, and Kane lays off 3-2.
When Kane was first with the Brewers, he had lots of injuries that kind of stalled his career here.
I don't think anybody thought he was going to be the kind of star that he turned into. Chassin will run. Kane asks for time.
We just saw Lewis Brinson for Miami. That's what Kane was considered. Great athlete. Don't know if he's going to hit enough. Well, he figured it out.
Brinson went from Milwaukee to Miami in the Christian Yelich deal. Grounded right to Rosario. This one he handles cleanly, and that retires the side. So Wheeler works around the error to put up a 0 in the 4th. Keep this game tied. The Mets take on the Cubs. All fans in attendance will receive a Michael Conforto replica jersey courtesy of Geico. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Well, each pitcher hung up a 0 in the 4th inning. That's big progress the way these things have gone the last couple of days.
That's right.
Mets will have Conforto, Guillorme, and Bruce coming up against Chassin, who was late getting back to the mound because he was running the bases in the last inning.
Guillorme came in the last inning for Flores. We don't have any report yet. What's wrong with Wilmer?
Conforto is flied out and walked today, 0 for 1. Mets were down 1-0, scored 4 runs in the 2nd inning, but Aguilar's 3-run homer in the 3rd tied it up. And Chassin, for having had a 10-batter inning in the 2nd, still has a remarkably reasonable pitch count through 4 innings. It was just his 60th pitch. Of course, the Mets were jumping on a lot of first pitches during that productive inning. And Conforto fouls off the changeup, and it's 0-2.
Completely changed his game plan. Tried to sneak through that 2nd inning with a lot of changeups. Oh, sorry, a lot of fastballs, and now has gone really with the slider and changeup.
Conforto hooks one foul.
Notice that the balls, even the fouls that are foul, are jumping off the bat of Conforto much more than before.
Well, that one-handed home run he hit Friday night, that was impressive. Backdoor breaking ball misses, and it's 1-2. Here's Guillorme waiting on deck for his first at bat. And Conforto drives one out to center field, chasing Kane back to the track at the wall. It's out of here. Conforto has homered for a third consecutive game, and the Mets take the lead 5-4. First time in his career Conforto has homered in 3 straight. That's his 7th of the year, and the Mets go back in front.
Ball is just making a different sound when he makes contact. That ball was a line shot out of this ballpark.
Just cleared the yellow line. Or did it?
Whoa, didn't.
Well, the umpire signaled home run. But from that angle, it certainly appears it did not go out, that it hit the yellow line at the top of the fence.
Yeah, it's going to be a double.
It's going to be overruled.
Right, you have the umpires have a right to put him on the base they think he belongs.
Right. So the play under review brought to you by Land Rover.
Look at Mike. Mike's like, oh, I got to get my helmet, put it back on.
I thought I got all of that. Well.
I can read lips. That's exactly my feeling.
So they're looking at it in Chelsea. Jerry Lane and Brian Gorman have their crews on replay duty this week. And I would think from that angle it would be pretty clear cut that it was not a home run. But then they have to set about figuring out where Conforto should wind up on the bases.
I think that's what they're deciding. That's what's taking time.
Here's a close-up view.
Kind of splits its way, hits the yellow line and the blue line right in the middle there.
It has to go over the yellow line to be a home run, so clearly that is not a home run.
What made it hard to read is that usually when a ball hits like that, it'll come straight down. It went straight up.
And they say 2 bases. So it's a double for Conforto after he has his home run wiped out on replay. And so it remains a 4-4 game. And he still has never homered in 3 straight games.
Change up and just a bullet to center field.
You know, I'm going to have to increase my whiteout budget. Replay has just made me go through so much more whiteout than I used to.
Well, it's also Keith borrows your whiteout too.
Well,
so
that is a consideration. So the Mets have the go-ahead run at second with nobody out, and now Guillorme will bat for the first time. Had a bat yesterday and flied out. And he bluffs a bunt and takes ball 1. Well, Guillorme, whether he bunts or whether he pulls a ground ball, it's got to get the runner over with Bruce on deck. And he does pull the ground ball. Nicely done by Guillorme. And that gets Conforto to third with 1 out.
Nice job by Guillorme. You were asking, what are the Mets trying to do? They're a home run hitting ball club to do a better job of scoring. Situational hitting they've been working on in batting practice. Look at Chacin. He's watching. The second baseman was thinking of going to third. He's like, no, just get the out at first. Come on, bro.
I don't think VR had any intention of throwing the ball to third. So now the infield comes in for Jay Bruce, who's 1 for 2 today. An infield hit and a fly ball to center. Jay is playing today on the 10th anniversary of his major league debut. May 27, 2008. He made his debut for the Reds against the Pirates. He went 3 for 3 that day with 2 RBIs.
Is he a 20-year-old?
Yeah. And he flares that one into left field, falling fast, base hit. Conforto comes down the line. The throw to the plate is not in time, and the Mets go back in front. Conforto belatedly does score the run, and the Mets lead it 5-4 on Bruce's second hit of the day.
Well, it was a hard call because it was hit off the end of the bat, and Yelich gave the appearance he might try to make the catch. So Conforto went back to third base and then had to hustle to score. Watch him go back. I think he might be caught. Oh, you better go.
Kind of an awkward fall into home plate. So the Mets regain the lead. Bruce at first with one out, and now Gonzalez pokes one foul. Adrian's been hit by a pitch and taken a call third strike. 0 for 1 today. That's now with 8 hits against Chacin, and there's no action yet in the Milwaukee bullpen. About to throw his 70th pitch of the day, and that was hit sharply. One hopper to VR, and they'll turn the double play. 4-6-3. Tough part was the pickup. VR came up with that, and the rest was routine. 4-6-3 ends the inning, but the Mets go back in front on Bruce's RBI hit. 5-4 halfway through. Well, if there's been a theme to our 4 days in Milwaukee, it's been the sausages, both the racing sausages and the edible kind. Now, this is Sunday, and we have to wait till the 6th inning because that's when they have the sausage race, but they have a special sausage race on Sundays. Christian Yelich flies one down the line. Bautista watches it sail into the stands out of play.
In what way?
Well, they've got the regular sausages, but then they've got the little kids.
Oh,
who
nice.
do the relay race, what they call the little weenies, who finished the race.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a special kind of thing.
We'll show that later.
Christian Yelich 2 for 2 today. He's 8 for 15 in this series now. Wheeler staked to a lead for the second time today. And the curveball drilled to right, and Yelich has yet another hit. His 9th hit in this 4-game series. He's 3 for 3 today.
Well, this young man just flat out hit. Breaking ball here, stays up in the strike zone. Short, quick stroke, and laces a single into right field.
Top 3 guys in the batting order today, Kane, Yelich, and Aguilar, are 6 for 7. Rest of the lineup is 0 for 11. So here's Aguilar, who's driven in all 4 Milwaukee runs with a single and a 3-run homer. And takes the first pitch curveball down for ball 1. Unlike Chassin, Wheeler has not been able to manage his pitch count. He's about to throw his 85th pitch with nobody out in the 5th. Now, he threw 106 in his last start. That's his season high. But today 106 is not going to get him anywhere beyond 5+ or at the most 6 innings. So the Mets are going to have to use more bullpen than they probably would have liked to today, going into a doubleheader tomorrow. Outside, Nito hesitated just a beat before making that back pick throw. Otherwise, he might have had a chance to get Yelich.
I think he couldn't get the grip properly. Callaway was trying to hold that play up. I don't know what for.
Not even close. Wheeler behind on Aguilar 2-0 with Travis Shaw on deck. And Aguilar takes a rip. 2-1.
I can understand that. With the swipe tag, pushed the hand off the base, but it looks like he kept it outside of his palm on the bag.
Slowly hit, foul, 2-2. Travis Shaw waits on deck. Two coming in the dirt, and Nito swipes it out. 3-2. Wheeler has walked 2 today. He struck out 4, allowed 4 runs and 6 hits. Yelich at first and nobody out. 3-2 to Aguilar. Not running. And Aguilar takes strike 3 call. Got him with a fastball on the outside edge. And Wheeler has his 5th strikeout of the day.
Aguilar didn't argue. Perfect pitch by Wheeler, right on the corner, right on the knees. Nice frame by Nito. I mean, can't get it better than that.
He's in black. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Travis Shaw is fouled out and walked. Fastball in for a strike, 0-1. Robert Gsellman, first man up in the Mets bullpen. He hasn't pitched since Friday night when he went an inning and 2/3. Domingo Santana without a hit so far in his day. And Shaw breaks his bat, flies it out to Bruce and right, and he makes the catch for the 2nd out.
Thought we were going to see another Bryce Harper there for a second.
I was just about to say that you know, normally a guy breaks his bat, okay, it's an easy out, but we've already seen a guy hit one 406 feet with a broken bat this year, so you know the ball has less drag.
Yeah, more aerodynamic carry, Gary.
Here's Santana, who's hit a soft liner to short and struck out, and he takes a strike. 0-1. Yelich led off the inning with a single. He's still at first with 2 out. And Santana takes a whiff, and it's 1-2. Wheeler is due a turn at bat in the 6th, so this could be all for him. About to throw his 96th pitch. 2-2. Jonathan VR would be next. Two coming. Santana pulls it down to third. Guillorme goes to short way and gets the force, and that retires the side. Wheeler gets through the 5th with the lead. 5-4 New York. Zach Wheeler drove in a couple with a base hit. Jay Bruce has a couple of hits, including the go-ahead RBI. That's lead at 5-4 as we go to the 6th. Jhoulys Chacín still in for the Brewers. Jose Bautista leads off. He's 2 for 2 today. Single to center, single to left in his 2nd start for the Mets. And he takes off the plate for ball 1. Got word on Wilmer Flores. He suffered lower back soreness. That's why Wilmer came out of the game in favor of Luis Guillorme. And Bautista flies one out to right. Santana back on to the edge of the warning track to grab it. And that's the first out. So Bautista retired for the first time today. And now Tomas Nido drove in a run in the Mets' 4-run 2nd with a base hit to center field. Then hit a comebacker into a double play in the 3rd. And looks like Wheeler's going to stay in and bat for himself, although Robert Gsellman continues to throw in the bullpen. Of course, the Mets are short on the bench now with Flores having come out of the game. They have Nimmo, Reyes, and Mesoraco left. And Mickey may just not want to use a pinch hitter this early, although Nimmo has a helmet on. Ball and a strike to Nido. There are the numbers on Chacín, who in the month of May sported a 1.54 ERA coming into the day. And he blows one by Nito, 1-2. That's the hardest pitch he's thrown all day at 92 miles an hour.
With Cleveland's bullpen slumping today, Trevor Bauer in 7 1/3 innings threw 127 pitches. Another quick pitch there from Chassin.
127 is as many as anybody's thrown in a game this year. Didn't Tyson Ross throw that many earlier this year for San Diego?
Yeah, when he had a no-no going.
Of course, it was today was a little special for Trevor Bauer, I think.
Yeah.
Here's the 1-2 coming to Nito, and the breaking ball fouled off. He went up against the Astros and his former UCLA teammate Garrett Cole, and from all indications, those two never really have gotten along very well.
It's true. Bauer said that Cole told him when he was a freshman that he had no future in the game.
Oops. That indoor slider misses him. It's 2-2. Well, the sausages are getting ready. There's chorizo. Nito flies one along the right field line. Santana will not give it much of an effort, and it lands foul. What was that?
I don't know.
I mean, he might have had a chance to get to that ball if he ran hard.
In about 3/4.
So that gives Nito another life at the plate and forces Chassin to work deeper into the count. He's already thrown 7 pitches to Nito, and he looks thoroughly disgusted right now. I'm out here working hard. 2-2 coming. Fly ball out to center field, and Lorenzo Cain is right there waiting for it. No need to take the sunglasses off the hat, I guess. 2 out. Well, the chorizo just chomping at the bit. The chorizo has a secret workout regimen, we are told. He was the most recent addition to the racing sausages.
The hills of central Mexico, a little higher elevation, get a little better workout.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. So here's Wheeler taking the turn at bat. We'll see whether he stays in the game or whether Gazelman, who has been warming up throughout the inning, will be coming in. And it's a pop-up into shallow left field. Sogard takes charge of it, and Chassin has a 1-2-3 top of the 6th. We go to the bottom of the 6th with the Mets up a run.
It's a hot one for the weenies. Who's out in front? That's Italian, number 3. This is a handoff to the little weenies. And here we go. This is the show, and this will probably determine the winner. How good is the handoff? Wow, look at him smoke it. Wow. Is everybody okay? One guy went the wrong way. Italian wins. Johnsonville Italian.
Hot dog down The little weenie hot dog fell into the dugout. That's the worst thing that's happened since Randall Simon. Watch this. Oh, hot dog down.
The little guy.
Oh, get up. Come on. Get back in it.
A for effort.
Good. He got up and finished the race. But it's the Italian who wins it today. Silver screen star, and sausages are a butcher's best friend.
A little lazy.
Oh, my. I'm just glad all the little weenies are okay.
Not a fennel fan. Cilantro, fennel, a few others.
Zach Wheeler still out there and faces Jonathan Villar to lead off in the bottom of the 6th. So we mentioned early on that Mets wanted to try and get as much as possible out of Wheeler today with a doubleheader looming tomorrow. And even though Gesellman was up and warm, Zach is staying in to start the inning against the lower part of the order. Ball and a strike to Villar, who has struck out and grounded into a double play today, 0 for 2. Manny Pena on deck, then Eric Sogard, 6, 7, and 8 in the Milwaukee batting order.
I kind of noticed this not only last game but with Wheeler, like it's on a little bit of roll, and sometimes he's better at the end before he gets taken out than he is in the beginning.
Well, we mentioned his problems in the first inning. Today was the third inning that really bit him. And he strikes out Villar for the first down in the 6th. Strikeout number 6 for Wheeler, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Gary, one of the things that the Mets wanted to accomplish when they called up Tomas Nido last week was to get him some time to learn from Devin Mesoraco. And even though it's been a very short amount of time, he has taken a couple of things just in Mesoraco's prep. The first thing, and this was really interesting, is that when Mesoraco prepares, he doesn't just watch the opposing hitters at bats, but he watches specifically opposing hitters at bats against the starting pitcher for that day. And the reason that Mesoraco thinks that's so critical is that not all scouting reports are created equal. So for example, if a hitter is pretty good against curveballs, but you watch and your pitcher has a pretty good curveball, and you see something in the way that hitter reacts to said pitcher's curveball, then maybe you can throw that pitch against that batter. So it's a little nugget of information like that, and especially in the days of analytics today where so much is taking the human element out of it, I thought it was really interesting that Mesoraco wants to keep that in when it comes to his scouting reports, and Nido really picked that up.
Well, it's interesting because the pitchers now probably don't read the swing as much as they did in the past, so Mesoraco was doing that for him.
Pena skies one to shallow left. Rosario looking through the sunglasses. 2 out.
Now, guys, the second thing that Nido picked up is that, yeah, preparation is great, but it's how you present it to your pitchers. And one thing that Mesoraco does is he withholds a lot of information and tries to keep things simple in the meeting. So not so technical, but something like this. Hey, this hitter, he's a free swinger. You don't need to throw him that many strikes in the zone. And that way they don't get too bogged down with things. And you can relay certain things once you get out there in the game. But in the meeting, don't lose your pitchers. That's something, too, that Nido picked up.
Eric Sogard drills one deep, but foul. Well, the education for the moment for Tomas Nido may be coming to an end. Kevin Plawecki caught 9 innings last night for Vegas and is on his way to Atlanta to meet the team and might well be activated tomorrow, in which case Nido will be going back down. But this was the goal, exactly what Steve was talking about, for him to learn from Mesoraco, take that with him down to the minors, and have that leg up whenever it is he gets back.
And the Mesoraco, who has done so much studying, giving most of the pitchers the Cliff Notes version.
Well, that makes sense too. Just like you don't want a hitter's mind cluttered with too much information, you probably don't want that for the pitcher either.
That's right.
Boone Logan up in the Milwaukee bullpen. 108 pitches for Wheeler, most he's thrown in the game this year. 2-1 to Sogard with 2 out. And he gets ahead of another one and pulls it foul. 2-2.
if you throw a changeup and the hitter's on it and pulling it foul, you can do one of two things. You can elevate a fastball out of the zone or take a little more off the changeup.
Grounded out for Rosario, and that retires the side. So Wheeler gets one more inning and makes good on it. He gets him out 1-2-3. 5-4 Mets after 6. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealer and get behind the wheel of the Audi model you've always wanted. 7th inning, 5-4 New York. Ahmed Rosario is 0 for 2. He's fouled out and grounded out. Jhoulys Chacin still out there chucking in the 7th. And this is down with a slider. 2-0. Cabrera and Conforto to follow for the Mets, who regained the lead in the 5th on Jay Bruce's RBI single. And a 2-0 slider misses high, and now it's 3-0 to Rosario, who drew a walk last night, snapped a 91 plate appearance walkless streak. 3-1.
Just feel like the Mets have to add on some runs here, though, in this ballpark. Slim 1-run lead.
And Rosario chases a 3-1 slider, and now it's a full count. Chacin has walked only 1. He's struck out only 3. Given up 5 runs and 8 hits today, but gotten deeper in the game than you might have suspected when he gave up 4 in the 2nd. And Rosario skies one to right center. Kane ambles in to get it. 1 out. So Chacin, since giving up that go-ahead hit to Bruce, has retired 5 in a row. And that's going to be the last pitch he throws. With Cabrera and Conforto coming up, Chacin is not going to be allowed to go through the lineup for a 4th time, and he will exit, and Boone Logan will come into the game. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. 5-4 Mets in the 7th. We'll be right back to Milwaukee. Veteran lefty Boone Logan in for the 3rd time in this 4-game series. And as Drupal Cabrera fouls back his first fastball.
Logan was on the disabled list at the start of the season with a left tricep strain.
He's faced Cabrera twice in this series, gotten him out both times, as Drubal's 1 for 7 against Logan in his career. 1 for 3 today. And he fouls off another one. It's 0-2. Michael Conforto on deck. Logan just went to the back of the mound to kick at the rosin bag, and he almost like falling off a cliff.
There's a shelf there that very unusual. Most mounds in the back are kind of sloped down right from the rubber, but this one has a shelf of about what, 3 feet before it goes straight down.
You know what it's almost like? There are most of the coaches, when they throw batting practice, throw from a shorter distance, and they have the ramp that they put out
That's
there
right.
to simulate the slope of the mound. It's kind of like this mound is like one of those ramps. Two coming, and as Drupal clocks one deep left field, headed toward the wall, it's out of here as Drupal Cabrera crunches his 8th home run of the year, and the Mets extend their lead to 6-4. The Mets' first home run of the day, and Cabrera just rocketed that ball out of the ballpark.
Well, Chacin got a double play in the 5th. Got 4 more in a row. Taken out by his manager. The left-hander comes in to face Cabrera. Mets have a 2-run lead.
Nice catch, by the way. Met fans at Miller Park happy. Mets now with a 2-run lead. And now here's Conforto, who missed a home run by inches his last time up. It was initially ruled a home run, but later overruled. He wound up with a double, later scored the go-ahead run. Now Cabrera has added to that lead. And Conforto takes the slider low, 1-1.
Just got a fastball up in the strike zone, fence high, just put the bat on it, and it was out as soon as he hit it. He knew it.
Second home run Logan's given up this year. So Cabrera having himself a fine series, 7 hits in the 4 games, 4 RBIs. Now has 31 runs batted in for the year. Conforto hits it on the ground, and BR takes care of Conforto for the 2nd out. Out of town scores brought to you by Altice One. Braves beat the Red Sox behind Mike Fultonevich, 7 innings, 3 hits. We told you about Ronald Acuna. They say he has a sore knee and lower back after that very awkward step past first base. We'll see whether he's available for the series coming up against the Mets. Nats lead the Marlins in the 9th. Bryce Harper with his 16th. That leads the National League. Cardinals and Pirates in the midst after St. Louis won yesterday.
Cardinals good comeback there late in the game.
Luis Guillorme up for the 2nd time after Wilmer Flores left with lower back soreness. He grounded out in the 5th inning to help build that go-ahead run. After Conforto's double, he advanced him, and Michael would not have scored from 2nd on Bruce's hit. He did score from 3rd. So Guillorme had a piece of that. However, it has not been easy for Luis to come up with base hits after that initial flurry that saw him go 3 for 3 to start his career. Since then, he is now 0 for his last 14. And he chases the slider from Logan for strike 3, and that ends the inning. But the Mets Now the 2-run lead thanks to his dribble Cabrera's home run. 7th inning stretch, 6-4 New York.
Milwaukee's heart, we paraded you around. In 1957, the series you did win, and the town was in a spin. Oh, there's no joy left now in Milwaukee, in Milwaukee, in Milwaukee. Oh, there's no joy left now in Milwaukee. You Braves have scalped this town.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Braves were here from 1953 through 1965. They won a World Series in 1957, lost a World Series in 1958, both against the Yankees. Lou Burdette, the big hero in '57, with his pitching. What more can we say?
Yes.
Place that nurtured Henry Aaron's career.
Eddie Matthews. Eddie's the only guy that played in all three towns, right? He played for Boston Braves, Milwaukee Braves, and the Atlanta Braves. The Zellman's in the game.
Zach Wheeler, a season high 110 pitches, 4 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a home run, and now Gesellman, who wound up the losing pitcher on Friday night. Certainly not much of his doing. Gave up a hit in the 10th inning, and it eventually came around to score. Ryan Braun will pinch hit for the Brewers as we go to the bottom of the 7th. So Wheeler, another one of those games where it didn't start particularly well, but he managed to find himself and only allowed 1 hit over his last 3 innings.
I mean, he gave up 3 straight hits and a run in the first, was able to pitch out of it, and then made really just 1 bad pitch after that.
And that first inning, 2 of those 3 hits could have easily been outs if he'd had some better defense played behind him. And now Gesellman and company will try and get the last 9 outs and get Wheeler a win. Braun started yesterday, went 1 for 4. And he chases a slider from Gesellman, and it's 0-2. Lorenzo Cain waits on deck, then Christian Yelich, a tough row to hoe here in the 7th. And Braun lines one to right. Bruce cutting over and makes the catch. Ball hung up long enough for Bruce, who seems to be not running as well as he was a couple of weeks ago, to get over and grab that ball.
But he did get a great jump on it to get it. too good of a pitch there by Gazelman ahead of the count.
You know, you go back to the plantar fasciitis that Bruce suffered in spring training, and you know, from time to time it has seemed as though that has troubled him more than at others, and it's not something he's going to say anything about, but you can just see it in his gait.
There's some balls in this series that he just hasn't got to that we've seen him get to in the past.
Here's Lorenzo Cain. Well, Cain using a different bat this time after we detected a chip in his bat in his last outing. I guess because he made an out, because otherwise he would have stayed with the chip bat.
I mean, that's
but you don't want to hit it off that part of the bat anyway.
That's right.
That's the cup. They cup out the end to reduce the weight of the bat. But a part of the bat that you don't want to use. And he hits a chopper. Guillorme on the charge. Gloves and fires off balance. Safe. Very close play. And the Mets almost certainly will review this. Guillorme with an acrobatic throw. That's the kind of thing that he's capable of.
Fields it with two hands and lets it go while falling to the ground. Shows you how much speed Cain has. And I think he beat it out.
And the Mets are not going to challenge it, apparently.
Well, it's at least a tie. And I think it's even. He outright beat it.
Well, quite an acrobatic play by Guillorme. So Cain's aboard for the third time today. It's a better view. Yeah, he beat it. So now Yelich at the plate is the tying run in a 6-4 game. And he lines one toward the left field line. Foul. Well, Gazelman in the game, and we opened our broadcast today talking about the efficacy of best using your best pitchers. All three of these guys have been outstanding, while the back end of the Mets rotation has struggled.
I think you're hoping that Gazelman gives you a couple innings here and you can get the ball to Familia, but those guys have been valuable and invaluable.
Yelich is 3 for 3 today. 9 hits in 16 at bats in this series, so the Mets have been hard pressed to get him out. Pulled down to first. Nice grab by Gonzalez. Out at second. Rosario's return too late. Well, a nice pickup by Gonzalez to start the 3-6 fielder's choice for the second out.
Well, just outstanding to get to that ball because there's a big distance between he and Cabrera at second base. Nice throw by Rosario back. Gazelman was there, but Yelich too much speed. It's a game-changing play right there.
Matt Albers on the left, Jeremy Jeffress on the right, both up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Meanwhile, Jerry Blevins is up in the Mets bullpen with Travis Shaw on deck, but now it's Aguilar, who has driven in 4 runs today. All 4 that the Brewers have scored, 3 of them on one enormous swing of the bat.
Yeah, moonshot here by Aguilar into the second level.
That was a Dave Kingman trajectory home run. Kingman hit him higher than anybody I've ever seen.
Really?
On a regular basis. Paul Sewald joins Blevins in the bullpen. Two and one to Aguilar. There's Shaw on deck, and Blevins getting ready for him. Off the plate, and it's 3-1. Now, on Friday, they pulled Gazelman, brought in Blevins to face Yelich. That didn't work out. The difference bringing him in to face Shaw is, even though Gesellman gets lefties out well, is that Shaw doesn't like facing lefties.
That's right. The caveat to that is Blevins got 4 outs yesterday.
3-1 coming. That's off the corner, ball 4. And now the tying runs are on base, and Shaw coming up. And here comes Mickey Callaway, or does he? He took a step, thought better of it, wants his pitching coach to make sure that Blevins is ready, and now he'll come out and make the change.
This is the same pitch that was called a strike 1-0. Throws the exact same pitch, but not called.
Looked like it had the knees in black, according to that strike zone.
Caught plenty of the plate, and you saw Aguilar. He stayed in the box because he thought it was going to be called a strike.
So Gesellman out, Blevins in, and we'll see how Blevins handles Shaw with the tying runs on base. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Third straight day for Jerry Blevins after throwing 26 pitches yesterday. He faces Travis Shaw with 2 out and 2 on. And he gets the fastball on the inside edge, 0-1.
Well, you gave all the numbers. These are the numbers on the season. Has not been easy for Jerry Blevins, but after getting 4 outs yesterday, counted on for a big out today.
Shaw is 0 for 2 against Blevins in his career. He's 0 for 2 and a walk today. Yelich at second. Aguilar the tying run at first with 2 out. And Blevins bounces the curveball, 1-1.
Oh, see, Gesellman's asking the umpire if it was down. He said yes, and then he just waved the glove at him, angry because he thought it was a strike that he threw to Aguilar.
Aguilar even thought it was a strike.
Yeah, I thought it was a strike too. But he's the most important guy.
Rob Drake.
Yep.
Hate the Drake. One and 1 to Shaw, and he drills one down the right field line. Foul. Didn't hit it all that hard, and it just hooked away. And Blevins can breathe a sigh of relief. It's now 1-2.
Sometimes the balls that aren't hit that hard down the line, though, don't have a chance to hook. A little fearful of that.
It has not been an easy proposition for Jerry Blevins this year. Very different from 2017, especially in these spots where he has to get the one left-hand hitter out. 1-2 coming. Looper, shallow left center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Yelich scores, and Shaw has an RBI single, and the Met lead is trimmed to 6-5.
Again with the fastball by Blevins ahead in the count 1-2. It doesn't have the desired result. And now it's 6-5.
These rough one-batter outings continue to balloon on Jerry Blevins. Go back to that pitch to Aguilar that Gesellman was so upset about.
Yeah, that's why Blevins was in the game, because he did not get the call on that pitch.
Now Blevins is out. Paul Sewald is in, trying to get Domingo Santana and put this 7th inning to bed. Mets lead now down to a skinny run. Called to the bullpen, brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. 6-5 Mets in the 7th. We'll be right back. Season for Jerry Blevins, and it just got worse a moment ago.
Well, you know, the breaking ball, which is his bread and butter, he has not been able to really use effectively, and the fastball was put into play by Shaw.
So it's up to Paul Sewald to try and get the final out of this inning through 2 scoreless innings on Thursday night. Domingo Santana takes a fastball for a strike. Santana's 0 for 3 today on Domingo. Aguilar the tying run at second. Shaw at first with 2 out. And that's lined the other way toward the line. Base hit. In comes Aguilar with the tying run. Shaw being waved around as it bounces away from Bruce. Shaw to the plate. Dives in safely. Down to third goes Santana. And the Brewers lead it 7-6.
Well, they've been throwing him sliders all series long, but this one wasn't out enough. He catches it off the end of the bat, and watch it, hits one of these little square outs and bounces back towards the field. Bruce was ready for that ball to kind of bounce to him. And you can see the runners, of course. Aguilar is going to score, but it really, once it bounced away from Bruce, that gave Shaw the chance to score.
And now Villar lines a base hit to right, and that'll bring in a run. He races for second, and he dives in with a double and an RBI, and now it's 8-6 Milwaukee. Back-to-back extra base hits against Sewald, and the Brewers have turned this game around, scoring 4 runs in the 7th inning. They now lead by 2.
Boy, this happened quick. That's a hanging breaking ball right there by Sewald. Good try by Bruce to get to it, but VR has great speed. Turns it into a double.
Santana gets credit for a double, third on the throw, then the double by VR to make it 8-6 as Santana comes in to score, and now Manny Pena the batter, and he takes a strike. So the Mets bullpen melting down here in the 7th. It all started with the Lorenzo Cain infield hit against Gesellman on a very close play at first. Then Gesellman didn't get the call on ball 4 to Aguilar to put the tying runs on base, and the Brewers cashing it in. Shaw's hit against Blevins for 1 run, Santana's double for 2 more, and then VR's double, both against Sewald. A 4-run 7th inning. Pena flies one down the right field line that'll slice away and go foul. It's a game that the Mets led 4-1. Brewers tied it. Mets led it 5-4, then 6-4 after the Cabrera home run on the top of this inning. But no amount of runs the last few days has seemed to be enough for the Mets bullpen to hold it.
Shaw coming into this series 7 for 47 against left-handed pitching. Turned it around this series.
Pena flies one out to center, and Conforto has it lined up. And the inning finally comes to an end, but the Brewers score 4 runs all after 2 are out, and they lead at 8-6 as we go to the 8th at Miller Park. Talk about in this series as the Mets pitching continues to fail in big spots.
Listen, for you folks who are saying, you know, why take someone out? Jerry Blevins is on this team to get left-handers out. And I said the number before the series started. Travis Shaw is 7 for 47 against left-handed pitching. No damage at all, just singles. And, I mean, if Jerry can't get Shaw out, then you're in trouble anyway.
The problem to me looks like it's pitch selection. Would you agree with that?
I agree. And, you know, I hate to judge pitchers and their pitch decisions because I'd rather have them 100% behind whatever pitch they want to throw than 50% behind what I think is the right pitch. But the curveball that is his bread and butter is not playing a lot for Jerry going through these tough times.
And if you're going to bring in the lefty to face Shaw, who struggles against lefties because he doesn't do well against breaking balls from lefties, and his lefty curveball isn't working, maybe you're better off sticking with Gesellman.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Jay Bruce is 2 for 3 today. Drove in the go-ahead run for the Mets in the 5th. That's now a memory.
But, you know, 2-3 weeks ago, Nick Williams has really changed how the bullpen's being used because Sewald was left in. Nick Williams came to bat, hit a 3-run home run without Blevins coming in, and now Blevins has been brought in almost each and every time that situation has arose.
Well, then there's the other piece to that, and you mentioned this before Blevins ever came in the game. The fact that after giving up the hit to Yelich on Friday, that he was brought into the blowout yesterday to get the final 4 outs and threw 26 pitches, which is very unusual for him.
And 3 days in a row.
Right. And then coming back today.
I mean, I said that yesterday. You know, just in case you needed him today, you'd like him to be a little fresher.
Bruce drives one to center, but Kane is right there. Hard hit ball for the first out against Jeremy Jeffress, making his second appearance in the series. Jeffress got the win on Friday night by getting the last 4 outs in the Brewers walk-off victory. So Brian Braun stayed in the game in left field, Christian Yelich in right field. Adrian Gonzalez the batter. He's 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch today.
The ball caught the foot of Rob Drake, the home plate umpire. Pena didn't get a glove on it.
Drake says he's okay.
You know, we showed that graphic of Lugo, Sewald, and Gazelman. And Gazelman and Lugo, to me, Sewald, not so much. But Gazelman and Lugo, to me, are the ultimate in crossover guys in this way, 2 ways. One is that they have the stuff to get left-handed hitters out because they got the breaking ball and the changeup. But they also are, you know, former starting pitchers that, you know, throwing more than 10, 15, 20, 30 pitches. They can do that very easily.
Coming into the day, lefties were hitting 178 against Gazelman. 217.
So he's excellent against both.
Right. 063 against Lugo. And 240 against Sewald. On the other hand, lefties, as Gonzalez takes a rip and misses. Lefties were hitting 269 against Blevins.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I'm not being critical. I'm just presenting what we're supposed to be. I'm told all the time that the numbers dictate what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put people in situations that the numbers dictate they're going to be successful. Gary just read, that's not true.
Rolled out to Aguilar, who makes the play himself for the second out. Well, I think it's a matter of adjusting on the fly. I do understand the premise that if Jerry Blevins is on this team, he's on this team to get Travis Shaw out in that spot.
He is. That is his job. But his curveball hasn't played, and I think, you know, that is what separates me, or separates Jerry to me, from other left-handed pitchers, is that he had the ability, when he's at his best, to throw a curveball for a strike and throw a curveball out of the strike zone for a strike out. To me, he's decided really what he did 2 seasons ago, and that uses fastball more, which against a guy like Travis Shaw, who struggles against the left-handed breaking ball, it gives him a chance. Gives him a chance.
Well, 2 years ago, Jerry was far more effective against righties than he was against lefties. And then he started using his curveball more last year, and he became a wipeout pitcher against lefties. Jose Bautista is 2 for 3 on the day, and he takes a borderline strike. Well, a lot of air has come out of this game for the Mets after that last half inning. 6-4 lead going to the bottom of the 7th, with Gazelman taking over for Wheeler, who was stalwart in getting through 6, and then it all fell apart. One and one to Bautista. And a good slider by Jeffress to get ahead 1-2.
3-0, 5-3 yesterday, 4-1 today, 6-4. Those are just, you know, if you want to be a good ball club, Gary, you have to be able to hold those leads.
Well, it's so deflating also.
It's deflating,
for the team that has worked so hard to get the lead, to see it go away so easily. Bautista, it's another rocket, but it's fielded on one hop by Shaw, and that retires the side. Bautista's hit the ball hard all day, but he comes up empty there. 1-2-3 inning for Jeffress. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 8-6 Milwaukee. Bricks. Whether you're buying or selling your home, go to purplebricks.com. Brewers box score brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Jesus Aguilar drove in the first 4 runs and then 4 runs in the 7th. Shaw, Santana, and VR all with the RBI hits. Paul Sewald, who gave up those last 2 RBI hits, stays in to face Eric Sogard leading off the home 8th. Sogard is 0 for 3 today, 2 fly balls and a ground out, and he carves 1 foul, 1-1. Ryan Braun is on deck, and then Lorenzo Cain in the bottom of the 8th. As Corey Knebel, who struggled on Friday night, is getting ready in the Brewers bullpen for a save chance.
Let me ask you a question. Can we show Sogard's arms? I see Knebel getting up. Show his hands, please. He doesn't Velcro shut his batting gloves. All right. So the flap is out. Well, now he's doing it. Okay, done. I was just thinking, if he gets hit, if that ball hits an unflapped, unvelcroed part of the glove, is that a hit by pitch?
I don't think you're allowed to keep them unvelcroed.
Yeah.
Fly ball, shallow center. Conforto right there. 1 out. Play of the game brought to you by Spectrum TV, the way you want it. The Mets had a huge second inning. It could have been far better, except for this play made by Eric Sogard against Wilmer Flores.
Yeah, right on the tarp. What a play. Always been known as a gamer, does the little things, and that little thing turned into a big thing.
Flores would later leave the game with back soreness, but you would think it was Sogard who would get the back soreness after a play like that.
Right.
Ryan Braun up for the 2nd time, lined out to right as a pinch hitter in the 7th, and then stayed in the game in left field. The Brewers scored 4 runs in a span of 4 pitches in that 7th inning. Shaw with the base hit against Blevins. Then Sewald came in, his 2nd pitch. Santana hit down the right field line for a double and 2 runs, and VR hit the 1st pitch for a double and another run. 4 pitches. Line to left center, and Braun's got a base hit. And Forno cuts it off, and Braun will stop at first with a 1-out single. So the 3rd hit in 5 batters against Sewald.
Ball up in the strike zone, fastball, and Braun jumped all over it.
Now Lorenzo Cain, who's been on base 3 times today, 2 infield hits and a walk. He has scored 2 runs. Cain is 7 for 16 in this series. Nets shut the Brewers out on Thursday night behind Steven Matz. Milwaukee has scored 29 runs in the ensuing 3 games.
And Cain and Yelich have been a big part of it.
Cain with 7 hits in the series, Yelich with 9.
So we came into this series really talking a lot about the Milwaukee bullpen. But after watching this series, one of the most underrated top of the lineup guys in all of baseball is Cain and Yelich.
Well, Cain right now has an on-base percentage right around 400, which would be by far the highest of his career. Hasn't always been a leadoff hitter, but he's certainly taken to that role. Sewald strikes him out with a slider for the 2nd out.
Similar slider that he threw to Domingo Santana, but Santana was able to handle it.
So now Christian Yelich, who's 3 for 4 today. Braun at first with 2 out. In the top of the ninth, the Mets are scheduled to have 7, 8, and 9 in the order. That's Nido, the pitcher's spot, and Rosario. They still have Nimmo, Reyes, and Mesoraco left on the bench against Corey Knebel. Around the Majors brought to you by P.C. Richard & Son. Braves salvaged the finale of their series in Boston behind Mike Foltynewicz. Ronald Acuna came out of the game injured, but we don't know how seriously. Bryce Harper and Anthony Rendon homered in the Nats win at Miami. And the Blue Jays beat the Phillies today, knocking the Phillies out of first place one day after they grabbed it. First time the Phils have been in first place this late since 2011 when they won 102 games. But Atlanta back in first place with their win, and the Phillies lost today. One-two from Sewald, and Yelich pops one up. Guillorme back, Rosario across, and it lands foul. Probably was Rosario's ball, but he didn't get there.
Well, our player of the day, play of the game was Eric Sogard. The play of not of the game is the ball that falls in here. That's Rosario's ball, not Guillorme's.
Why did Rosario pull up? That's the shortstop's ball 100% of the time.
Don't know.
I mean, there's no way Guillorme gets there. Does he hear footsteps from Bautista?
Guillorme is so good, he might have gotten there, but it's not his ball. Even with the shift on, it's Rosario's ball. It was up in the air for a long time.
Got to be a better angle coming from shortstop.
Yep.
That's why it's his play. So the at bat continues, and Yelich pops another one foul. This will go out of play. The Mets defense has not been good right from the start of this game. First batter of the game, Lorenzo Cain hit a ground ball to short. Rosario tried to barehand it on a play where he should have used his glove. Aguilar drove in a run in the first inning on a ball that should have been caught in right center and wasn't. Two errors that have been charged to the Mets. But Sewald comes back and strikes out Yelich to end the inning. So on what has been a discouraging day in a discouraging series for the Mets, they'll try and rally in the ninth against Corey Knebel. Coverage begins at 12:30 with Spectrum Picks pregame right here on Picks 11, New York's very own. Changes for the Brewers. Tyler Saladino will come in to play shortstop in the ninth inning, and Corey Knebel will come in to try for the save.
They blew a one-run lead in the second game of this series. He's got two today.
Knebel, who was on the disabled list when the year began, was just starting to round into form, but did not look good on Friday night. Walked three batters in that ninth inning. The Mets tied it on Bautista's hit, and then he was pulled in favor of Jeremy Jeffress. Devin Mesoraco batting for Tomas Nido, leading off in the 9th inning. And Brandon Nimmo is out on deck to bat for the pitcher. Interesting that it's Mesoraco in this spot and not Reyes. With the Mets down by 2 runs. Mesoraco slams one to deep center. Kane going back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Devin Mesoraco gets the Mets back within a run with a leadoff pinch hit home run. Number 5 for Mesoraco, his 4th as a Met, and this is now a 1-run game. Now I know why he's batting instead of Reyes.
The Mets have had their way so far in this series with Knebel. Remember in the second game of the series, Knebel threw a lot of breaking balls, a lot of walks. This time he comes after Mesoraco, and it costs him.
So Mesoraco leads off the 9th with a home run. And now Brandon Nimmo will pinch hit. He homered yesterday. And he takes a slider down for ball 1.
His grip on the 4-seam fastball. Never got this one back.
3rd home run Knebel's allowed this year. Nimmo's 5 for 13 in this series with 4 extra base hits. And he hits a ground ball to Villar's right. He backhands it. 1 out. So now Ahmed Rosario has gone 0 for 3 today. Curveball stays inside ball 1. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News, and on SNY it's WB Mason postgame live. That's looking for some magic in the 9th. Rosario at the plate, Cabrera on deck, and Ahmed takes a curveball low, and it's 2-0. It's not coming easily for Knebel, who was lights out last year after taking over as the Brewers closer. And now he's behind Rosario 3-0. And Piña's going to run the ball back out to him. Knebel spent the first 5 weeks of the season on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. He's been back about 3 weeks now. And so far, at least in this series, he does not look like himself. Well, Rosario's got to take a pitch here.
Yes.
Cabrera, who homered his last time up, is on deck. And Ahmed takes it low, ball 4. So Rosario draws his 2nd walk in 2 days, and the Mets have the tying run aboard with the speed of Rosario. And Cabrera coming up. So the Mets have themselves a chance here in the 9th. Cabrera has driven in 2 runs today with a single in his 8th home run. Jerry's Familia getting ready in case the Mets tie it or take the lead.
You can forget a lot of what happened in the 7th with one swing of the bat here.
Now, what also happened in the 7th was Cabrera hit his home run off the lefty Boone Logan. Smacked it in the seats and left. Now up from the other side of the plate against Knebel. And a first pitch fastball well upstairs for ball 1. Rosario has just not learned the art of base stealing yet, and you would be hard pressed to imagine him trying to steal a base in this spot.
Piña's got a good arm, but Knebel takes forever to deliver the ball to the plate.
1 steal this year, 4 times caught stealing for Ahmed.
Good move, though.
I think I'd take my chances with Cabrera's ability to hit an extra base hit.
Give Cabrera and Conforto, if Cabrera doesn't into a double play, 2 chances to hit one out of the park.
Goes after a high fastball, and it's 1-1.
Don't help Knebel out. He feels the pressure of throwing strikes, and he's not doing it.
Keeping his eye on Rosario. Conforto on deck. 1-1 to Cabrera. The ball was sitting there. Rosario wasn't going to move his hand. Last thing he needs is to get himself picked off. One from Knebel. And Cabrera tired of waiting.
Well, they feel the threat of Rosario running, but his lead has gotten shorter and shorter.
He does not have a green light, and I cannot imagine that he would get the steal sign in this circumstance.
Not the way Cabrera and Conforto are swinging.
And not the way he's been thrown out when he's tried to steal. As dribble takes one low, and it's 2-1.
You keep the hole open too, Gary.
Cabrera has 7 hits and 4 RBIs in this series. And he pops one foul that'll go out of play. Now it's 2-2. Conforto waiting patiently on deck. 26-year-old Corey Knebel, who saved 39 for the Brewers last year, trying to fight his way through the 9th. And Cabrera swings and misses at the fastball, and they're a 2-man down.
Interesting with those throws to first. It's almost like Knebel has found the strike zone with his fastball. Throws this one right by Cabrera.
Mets are down to their final out, with Conforto coming up. By the way, we'd be remiss if we let this game end without sending out happy birthday wishes to Terry Collins. That's former manager, is 69 today. Happy birthday, Terry. Here's Conforto, who's 1 for 3 and a walk. And he takes a strike. Knebel dialing in with that fastball up in the zone. Tying run at first with 2 out. And it's 0-2.
It's not a strike. First one wasn't a strike. Second one wasn't a strike either. Maybe I'm wrong. What's our pitch cast say?
Says it was a ball. Rob Drake's had a rough day. Mets are down to their final strike. Rosario runs. The throw by Pena, not in time. So Rosario does steal the base. And now the Mets have the tying run in scoring position, just his 2nd steal of the year.
Boy, almost like a pitch out for Pena, but Rosario got such a big lead because Knebel got locked into getting Conforto out.
Now a base hit could tie it, but Conforto down in the count 1-2.
Going to see the curveball here.
Remember that Luis Guillorme is the on-deck hitter. He took Flores' spot when Wilmer went out with a bad back. And that's too high. I don't know if that informs the way Knebel approaches the rest of this at-bat now with first base open.
It certainly would change how I face Conforto.
He only player left in the Mets dugout is Jose Reyes. Two coming. And Conforto whacks one down the line, but foul.
Pena wanted that up in the strike zone, and Knebel threw it down.
And now Pena will visit, and so will Travis Shaw.
He wants this chest high. Watch where it ends up, right on the knees of Conforto. Bullet. You have to bounce a breaking ball or a fastball neck high. You cannot throw Conforto a strike with Guillorme on deck or Reyes in the wings if they pinch hit for Guillorme. Cannot do it. The difference between the ability of these two hitters is so drastic.
Two and two to Conforto. And he struck him out, and the ball game is over. Knebel strikes out the last two hitters, survives the ninth inning home run by Mesoraco, and the Mets finish a dreadful series in Milwaukee, losing 3 of 4 as the Brewers rally for 4 in the 7th against the Mets bullpen and beat the Mets today 8-7.
They had 2 leads yesterday. Looked like they had a good lead today. But the 3-1 pitch by Gesellman called the ball against Aguilar, and then Travis Shaw was not able. Blevins came in to get Travis Shaw and wasn't able to get him out. This ball had something on it. Just beat him right down the middle.
Well, Knebel found himself in the course of that ninth inning after giving up the leadoff home run to Mesoraco and walking Rosario. He strikes out Cabrera and Conforto to end it, and the Brewers take 3 of 4 and drop the Mets to just a game over 500. Game summary brought to you by the Nissan Tech for All sales event. Zach Wheeler settled in after a rough start, but the bullpen let it get away. Brewers win at 8-7 and take 3 of 4. We'll have more from Milwaukee in a moment.